Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Hello, friends. It's Kristen, and I'm here with Debbie Keegan. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. So let's talk about what's getting in the courage zone.
Oh, we're right out of the gate. Okay, get into the courage zone. A lot of times it's something that scares you. It's something that you have a hesitancy about doing. And that's what I say is the courage zone, because the comfort zone is just where you're comfortable, where, status quo, but nothing good ever really happens in the comfort zone because there's never really any change. And a lot of people are very, very afraid of change. But once they get out into that courage zone, that's where your self-esteem builds. That's where your self-confidence comes from, because you're doing something you never thought that you'd be able to do. So stepping onto that courage zone.
Do you think that inside that courage zone, sometimes the things that come up are like perfection or procrastination or, all the things that require courage so that you can have a breakthrough?
Sometimes, yes. What I find a lot of times with a lot of, especially my clients that I work with, what comes up is they get aggravated, they get mad because they have let some of those things hold them back. Fear, for example. And when they realize that when they get there, it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. So a lot of times it's a little bit of bitterness, resentment. Why didn't I start earlier? Why didn't I do this? So I see it both ways, but I've been finding a lot more people have said, I let something unrealistic hold me back. And that's when they're able to really move forward, and then they take off.
Don't you think that sometimes the things that we're also afraid of, like we make them huge, like it's just they build and build and build, and then we sit down and do it or face it. And it was like, wow, that was that was nothing. I made it into this giant thing, and it really was just like a tiny little bump.
Yeah, I think Nike has the best slogan on the planet, just do it. And so many times we overthink things. You hear people say, I'm in my head all the time. Get out of your head, just do it. And I think that when you just do it, it gives you the opportunity not to, because there's two times we quit, right before we start and right before the breakthrough. So we talk ourselves out of it before we even start, and then we give up right before the breakthrough. So, a lot of times the things that are holding us back, is self-talk. And, most of the time I'm going to tell you it's self-talk. And I always say, be careful how you're talking to yourself, because you're listening.
So what kind of things do you think we could say to ourselves to build our courage?
I think a lot of what we say to ourselves should start with the I am, because I think those are the two most powerful words in the world is I am, because it tells your subconscious mind where we're training the brain to step out into that courage. But I am going to do this. I am there already. It is, or sometimes it is mine for the taking. And it's about putting those words, because sometimes people say, I am enough, I am this, but we don't actually believe it. So we can have mantras, we can have sayings all day long, but if it's not acceptable to our minds, to our brains, we could say it all day long, it's not going to change. But I will not give up. I will persevere. And we can actually talk ourselves into that. I have things around my office, my room, that constantly remind me of things, like something hanging up right here. It says, you've been assigned this mountain to show others that it can be moved. And just reinforcing, and just keep reinforcing that. And, and I'm going to do it. I will not quit. I will not be done with whatever it is until I'm proud of myself.
I love that you're using that I am statement, even in a spiritual sense. That is such a powerful couple of words. They really are like the magic key that opens every door. And so I love that you're reminding all of us about the power of I am statements. I use them in my own life, and I've just seen all kinds of magic and synchronicities and things show up just by really claiming, your sovereignty here on this earth.
Absolutely. And I think if we know who we are and we know whose we are, I believe that would make us unstoppable. If we really truly knew who we were, we would be absolutely unstoppable in anything and everything that we do.
Boy, you're super empowering. I love what you're saying this morning. So what, do you have like a philosophy or a statement that carries you forward?
Yeah, and this is what I tell my clients, this is what I live by. And that is live the life that you were created for, not the one that you were given, because those are two completely different lives. And we can't help some things that happen to us. And sometimes we don't have control of a lot, but how we respond to things and how, something may happen, but you know what? I really feel like this is the direction I'm supposed to go in, and I'm going to go in that direction. Like I said, and a lot of times it's different courage zones, different, pockets of it, of which way I'm going to step out. But I try to live the life that I was created for. And that's a life without fear. That's a life, living my life unapologetically, living myself, loving others, putting people first, empowering people, inspiring people. So
you said a lot there that I thought was really important. So how do you know the difference between the life that you were born into and the life that you're meant to live? Like, what are some clues?
Some clues specifically for me would be very uncomfortable or not satisfied, in this place, but knowing that there's more, knowing in my heart that there is just more for me. And what I like to do is put that out in a form of sometimes just say a vision board, because sometimes we don't know what's in us until we put it out there. And then we're looking at it and saying, gosh, that just resonates so much with me. Like just say living on the beach, hypothetically, like living on the beach. And there's just something, and I believe that when it's inside you and it's just something that just drives you to it and pulls you to it instead of you forcing, a lot of times that's what helps me to discern which one it is the way to go, like what it is that I was here for. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that myself, we're here on purpose, with a purpose, for a purpose. And it's about figuring that out and walking in it.
I think that's really just such an important point, is what draws you to it. It's interesting because I know earlier in my career, I was such a driver. It was like, I'm going to push for this and push for that and go do all these activities. And it just exhausted me. I mean, it just created massive burnout. And I can't remember who it was, but just someone very wise is like, move as fast as your slowest self, which sounds a little strange for like an entrepreneur, because we feel like, we need to get going, and allow things that are meant to be in your life to come to you. And now this is total counterintuitive to me, but I will tell you, it was like the big pivot point in my life and in my business, because then the things that I really desired or that really resonated with me, there was this element I had to trust, but then they would literally like just show up right in front of me.
Exactly. And that's the cool part is in the brain, as an entrepreneur, there's three things I usually do in the morning. I write down three things that I'm grateful for, and then three things that would make my day great. What would make my day great today? And I write down three. So then my brain is automatically starting to look for them, as far, and then write down my mantra. Like my mantra today is, with God in me, I cannot fail. And I don't believe in failing anyway, but that's my mantra anyway. But I'll write down three things that would make today great. And so automatically my subconscious mind is, our RAS, reticular activated system, starts looking for that. So a lot of times we don't have to go searching for it. It's sometimes right out in front of us. We just don't know what we're looking for. And that opportunity could be right there. But if we don't know what we're looking for in that, then it can pass us by. So that it just helps to keep you a little bit on your toes and a little bit sharper during the day.
I do think a big part of finding success, especially if you own your own business, is paying attention, because a lot of times opportunities do come up, but they're not necessarily in full view. They're not just handed there right in front of you. You have to pay attention and say, my intuition tells me that there's something here if I ask the right questions, or I make an offer, or I put myself out there, or I apply or connect with someone, then suddenly the whole opportunity opens up. But we have to be paying attention, not just with our conscious mind, but with our intuitive mind. Absolutely. So that we can sense, if you will, the opportunity. And I think that is a big part of having success, is being able to like read certain situations so that you can see like the little bits of gold that are there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that fully.
You said something earlier that I thought was kind of interesting too. What do you think it means to live unapologetically? Because I think a lot of us women say, I'm sorry all the time.
Yeah. And, and I have a lot of women that say that I'm sorry. And I'll just ask them, what are you sorry for? And I encourage women the next time they say, I'm sorry, just in their heads, think, what did I just apologize for? Because by saying I'm sorry, I'm taking ownership of something I may or may not have done. So to live my life unapologetically means to live the life that I feel as though that I'm called to live without regret, without having to say, oh, I'm sorry, because a lot of times, people say, they're afraid of failing. Chances are it's, in my opinion, it's not that. A lot of them are afraid of succeeding. What does success look like? What is going to be required of me? What's that going to feel like? So a lot of times we self-sabotage, which is actually the opposite of self-love is self-sabotage. We self-sabotage ourselves so that we don't hit that level of success because, oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing so well. Oh, or, I like that dress. Oh, I got it on sale. Own it. If you have a nice dress on, and I don't care if you pay top dollar. Yes. Thank you.
Isn't this gorgeous?
Yes. Enjoy it and stop minimizing,
Right.
because when we minimize ourselves, it becomes a habit. And that's what we start doing. We're supposed to celebrate each other. I'm supposed to look at you and say, oh my gosh, you're beautiful, and not put you down, nothing more, nothing less. And just, and I know sometimes for women, compliments are very difficult. They are for me. 2 words. Thank you. That's it. So live that life unapologetically. Go out and do what you are called to do. And if somebody has a problem with it, it's not your problem, it's theirs.
It's interesting. I love this because especially when I do these interviews, I always get like a message for myself. And, I was having this conversation with a friend last night, and it's a new friend. And I have some like strong opinions about things. And then I thought, oh, I'm sorry if I said anything. I thought, wait, why did I apologize for that? And it wasn't like they were necessarily opinions against anything. They were just a strong statement. And I think that us sometimes as women, we kind of knock off the tip of the spear. We don't allow ourselves to have that really pointed, powerful statement, even if it is our truth serum, right? We just say, oh, I said that, but my opinion doesn't have to be that strong. And I don't know. I do think in a lot of ways it's collectively as women, it is an editor on our voices.
Mm-hmm. It very well could be, but where did that come from? Why did that start? And then you go down there. Well, I made an opinion one time and somebody made me feel bad about it. So then, okay, then I'm not going to voice my opinion. But, I love, when I can just say, you know what, that's a great opinion. I can see why you said that, but I'm going to have to agree to disagree. Still respect you, give you the freedom and allow you to speak your truth, your mind. Who am I to tell you? I think
that is this whole marketplace of ideas, and that you have a right to have whatever opinion you have, and I have a right to have my point of view. I read once that there is no such thing as common sense because we don't all have common experiences. We're not coming from the same frame of reference in terms of where we live or grew up or things like that. So of course, we're all going to have different interpretations and perspectives, and what happened to holding space where everyone was allowed to have that, but yet we agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I find that you either agree or you don't agree, and that's the end of it. Very either or. And I'm an and in both kind of girl. I
love that.
Yeah. I think either or is just too, it's just a really harsh way of thinking it, either this or that. Nope. Why can't it be and in both, So,
well, it doesn't allow much texture for our society, that doesn't allow much love and just appreciation for all of us have our own unique gifts and viewpoints and message and voice. So what's next for you, Debbie?
Well, I'm working on a couple things actually right now. I am working on expanding some of my coaching, because I've been coaching I just did the math, about almost 19 years now. So I was coaching before life coaching was even ever a thing. So I'm looking to probably go out into a couple different areas of coaching. I'm still playing with that a little bit. And then I also have added sleep training, because I do a lot of sleep training with babies, to my coaching. So I'm looking forward to seeing different kind of groups is what I'm looking to implement some groups. So
That sounds amazing. Where can we find you?
I'm online. I can be found at Debora, Debora Keegan, lifecoach.com.
Awesome.
Also
Thank you
on
so much
Instagram.
for being on the Big Meow.
Oh, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at C.A.T.S Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join C.A.T.S Network. C.A.T.S Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, C.A.T.S is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's C.A.T.S networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.